Hello, Pod Smashers of the Internet, and welcome to episode 22 of Termite's Buzz, a weekly video game podcast where me, your host Termite, runs through the trophies and games I'm playing, runs through some video game news, and usually caps the show off with a little retro gaming discussion. But this week is a very special week in gaming, as we have just had a pseudo E3, and I'm using the term E3 only to describe a time of year in which all of the big gaming development publishers, development studios, and the industry go crazy with new news, announcements, hypes. So this episode is going to be primarily focused on the Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase, which both happened earlier this week and tonight, the night I'm recording this episode. So generally, we launch episodes every single week on Mondays at midnight, and you can find episodes at 80bitpodsmash.com. That's our landing website, 80bitpodsmash.com. And we would love to have your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, and ideas over on our social media outlets. Again, you can find links to all of those at the same website, 80bitpodsmash.com. We have links to Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we have our Discord server. We'd love to have some more voices and hang out with more folks on the internet and in our community. It would be great to hear your thoughts and responses to all of the gaming hype. So I do want to jump right in because we have a ton of things to talk about. I generally try to keep these episodes limited to about an hour, but it's going to be probably longer than that because we have a lot of stuff to talk about, especially after these two big, massive showcases, showcasing the basically revealing and clarifying what we'll be playing this fall and early next year and farther on after that. And the fall and winter look amazing. So I'm excited about gaming in general. I love these hype reels. I love this time of year. I know that we don't have E3 as our general staple kind of tentpole events, but what we have in lieu of that is Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest and then now Xbox doing their showcase right on the heels of the PlayStation what do they call it? I don't even remember. It's not a state of play. It was a bigger one, I guess, a PlayStation showcase. So it's that time of year, folks. We're just getting all the stuff. Only thing we're missing now is like a Nintendo Direct. So in the timeline here, tomorrow is the day this episode will launch. That's Monday. There's going to be a Capcom and a Ubisoft show. So I'll be talking about the information on those shows a week from now. So next week, a week from Monday, the timing is not good. I don't want to put off delaying this episode now and add those in because then it would be a monstrous episode, probably hours long. My plan is to run through the shows, talk about the things that were revealed, and talk about some insights or opinions I have on them or what that means for things and directions and such, just my punditry in general as well as my opinion. And I'm not here to like review them, but I will probably give my opinions on each show as an avid gamer and kind of a consumer who's plugged into the gaming industry, but not in it. Like I don't receive PR emails. I don't have connections in the gaming industry. I wish I did, but I don't. I'm just a lowly mid-30s, middle-aged person playing video games, married with kids, doing this as a passion project, so I'm going to go with that. What am I playing right now? I'm playing Diablo IV because everyone on the internet is. I picked it up at launch, and I actually got the game the night I released last week's episode, so I guess I can talk a little bit about Diablo IV now that it's been out, and we've been playing the final released version. I am on Act 3 of 4. I think there's 4 acts, and so I'm about halfway through the story. That lines up. I've been having a blast with it. The multiplayer has been seamless. We've had one night. The launch night was there was disconnects briefly, but I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and found out 10 minutes after I had left to go to bed the servers were back online, but that was just launch time, and I haven't really had any issues since. I did hear about the one individual who had a level 100 or 85 hours of content played, of time logged, and lost his character because of a server disconnect. I want to highlight that that's like the major pitfall of these online all the time games and like the need for having a single player sort of like alternative for stuff like that. So having something synced to the console itself. So when there's a disconnect and something happens beyond the time stamp of that disconnect, there's like backlogs and maybe recovery of those things would be nice, as well as a chance to be able to play games not connected to the internet would be sweet. So just throw that out there. Excuse me. Overall, Diablo IV, fantastic game. I'm loving all of it. It feels like old school Diablo mixed with everything new about Diablo 3 that I love. So it's fluid. The 60 frames per second is great. The mechanics and the combat's all very fast within each moment. Each moment of engagement with enemies is quick. You can run through groups of enemies pretty fast. I'm playing on PlayStation 5, so like the attack order that I'm using on my controllers to fire off all my cooldowns is fun and engaging. I'm keeping track of those things and trying to time stuff correctly. And I'm playing a sorcerer, which means I'm a little bit of a glass cannon. I can die quickly, but I do a lot of damage, so I have to navigate how I'm moving and maneuvering around the screen, using a dodge and a teleport to kind of distance myself from enemies when I need to. The build combinations seem like limitless in the combinations you can create. Of course, I'm following a build online. Shout out to Icy Veins, which I guess is a cemented community that comes up with like amazing builds for Diablo games. They had early access to the game and have created some pretty great builds. So I'm doing a Frost Nova, kind of a close range chain lightning build. So I do teleport into a group of enemies, freeze them all, and then chain lightning them all to death with lots of extra explosions and enhancements to help support that, and then try to get out of dodge whenever the Frost Nova wears off and the enemies come back to life. So like doing that active engagement over the course of like a night of playing where I'm teleporting into enemies, I'm doing a bunch of abilities and like teleporting out. It's not boring. It's not like I'm just sitting there auto tapping or holding a button the whole night. And I feel like that's the general like feel of the game for everyone else who's playing different classes, is constantly having to navigate through the rotation of abilities to use and how to use them and how to position yourself on the battlefield with enemies. All of that is flawless and amazing. It's fast and snappy, but the game itself feels slower overall, and that's a good thing because that harkens back to Diablo 2 and Diablo 1, in which the music and the environmental storytelling and the grittiness of the game, it feels... I like that vibe. It's just darker, and like I said, it's grittier, and it's just slow and dark and kind of isolated music, almost like what Metroid Prime does for Metroid, where you feel like you're alone even though you're with other people and you're kind of navigating through these dark spaces. Lots of like weather. They do a good job of like telling or setting the tone and the vibe through the environments themselves. It's either like muddy or it's like snowing, and there's always like the kind of weather you would associate to like not a lot of activity or like not wanting to be outside in. Occasionally there's some like beautiful green meadows, but they're still like covered in a little bit of snow. But other than that, it's mostly like dark air from ashes and soot. You're like in dungeons and caves that are damp and dark, and then you're in flooded areas with rain and then heavy snow, or like a desert. There are all these kinds of environments where like you wouldn't want to hang out or like you wouldn't want to go camping in, right? So and they do a good job because it's like that's kind of what it is. That's the world that the game has set up in the story. I'm not going to get into the story and the lore, but Sanctuary is the world that you inhabit, and it's not the best place to be. And so there's lots of struggle, good versus evil happening, and it's great. So I love Diablo 4. I feel like the pacing is fun. The gameplay loop itself is addicting. You never want to stop. You always get the next piece of gear. You always get like the next quest or the next level. Oh, let me see what this ability does. Let me see what this gear does. Let me get this gem and socket it in here. How does that improve what I'm doing? Oh, just one more thing. I'm going to navigate over here for the story quest, but I've got this side quest on the way, or there's this dungeon right here, and go ahead and knock this out, or there's this event that's happening. So there's always constantly a bombardment of something to do. You're never left just bored drudging through a bunch of enemies, and I like that you can't really mess up your character builds because you can respec them, and I don't know how the price scales up. I think it does get to like be astronomically expensive with gold, but it's in-game currency, it's in-game gold, you can respec. So you can't like break your character if you decide 30 levels in that you want to use an Icy Veins build. You can do that. And I haven't gotten to any of the end-game content. Again, I'm halfway through the story, so the story's really cool. There's some lore videos on YouTube. I highly recommend it. Go check out Diablo's YouTube channel and look for the lore. It'll wrap up the before the game's even started, its timeline through Diablo 3. And it's everything I love about Diablo, right? It's like the longtime staple in my life. I'm not going to have a retro gaming talk this week because of all the extra stuff going on, but I will like harken back to my nostalgia for the original Diablo and Diablo 2 and playing on an original Pentium 100 megahertz computer that couldn't even run Diablo 2 at all. So one of the first games we got in 2002 when we upgraded our computer was Diablo 2, which at the time had been out for a while. But years, hours and hours spent playing Diablo. I played the Diablo version on PlayStation, the original one, with friends and loved it there too. And it kind of like scratched the itch that like Gauntlet Legacy does back in the day, and the isometric top-down sort of leveling up and going through hordes and hordes of demons and enemies and getting the new loot and continuing to try to get better and feeling stronger and going through bosses and stuff. It's just great. So Diablo 4 scratches all those nostalgic itches. Diablo 3 did not. Diablo 3 was very cartoony. Diablo 3 scratched a lot of itches that like Warcraft 3 custom games did and sort of what World of Warcraft did in its own way, in a Diablo flavor. And so obviously it fits into that world and that chronology, and that's fine. But Diablo 3 felt like a deviation from what Diablo 1 and 2 had set when it came to like game and tone. And 4 goes back to that, and it's so pretty. The graphics are phenomenal. Like I said, I'm playing on PlayStation 5, so it's gorgeous. You can check out Digital Foundry's like breakdown of all the graphics if you want to care about that stuff. And it is a flawless 60 frames per second, except for like some weird occasional drops to 59 or 58, which I barely even notice. So that's fantastic. So let's jump in to the Summer Games Fest, and I'm going to follow an article because the internet captures these things way better than my memory ever will. So bear with me here. I'm going to read an article by Logan Plant, or at least follow along an article by Logan Plant over at IGN, and the headline is Summer Games Fest 2023, Everything Announced. So Summer Game Fest 2023 is a wrap, and Jeff Keighley's show kicked off a full week of reveals and updates on a brand new and previously announced games. The show was highlighted by a couple of big PS5 games, and we got a couple surprises. I'm paraphrasing this article because I kind of want to go through it together. I wish there was an ordered one, like something that was actually in order. Maybe this is or maybe it's not, but I'll just go. Okay, so there was a Prince of Persia game announced. Prince of Persia The Lost Crown is coming next year. Now, I know there was that big Prince of Persia remake that was supposed to happen from Ubisoft, and it's been in like development hell. It's been canned, redone, handed off to different studios. It's got a wild history. So when this was first shown off, it was like, oh, okay, we're getting it now. It's actually going to happen. But I don't know if that's what this is. I don't know if this is what it turned into. I don't know if this is a result of all of the churn and burn of development hell world. But Summer Games Fest kicked off with a surprise. A brand new Prince of Persia game is coming out early next year. It's called The Lost Crown. It's coming to PS5, all the systems, including Switch, in January 2024. It's a brand new side-scrolling action platformer. The cool part about this game, and it was not obvious when it was first announced, is that it was made by the same developers, the same development studio that made Raymond, the really ridiculously good Raymond Legends game. And so I don't remember which studio though. I'm trying to figure that out. I wish I could find it, but that came out later afterward. And if you watch the trailer, like it looks tight. The animations are amazing. The color pops, so it looks like a ridiculously solid side-scrolling, fast-paced sort of platforming action game. It looks great. So I'm not really into Prince of Persia, never really have been, but this caught my eye. It was actually like kind of something I might want to play. And then right after that, so that was the introduction. Like boom, new Prince of Persia, which is a good beloved franchise. Good job, Jeff, for the hype. And then of course we knew about this Mortal Kombat 1. We knew we were going to get a updates and actual gameplay for it, so we got it. Mortal Kombat 1 is out later this year. We got a new look at gameplay for the next entry. We saw the new assist mechanic in action where fighters can call in help from other Mortal Kombat characters in the middle of battle. We saw a couple of fatalities, a close-up of someone's like ribcage being whatever, someone getting their heart ripped out, and it's Mortal Kombat. So lots of Easter eggs in this trailer, like tons of stuff that harkens back to the original Mortal Kombat. I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, so I'm here for this. I can't wait. This looks awesome. The trailer was phenomenal. I was hyped. I was getting goosebumps. Like, yeah. I'm like so into this show. I can't wait. So into the game. The show being Summer Games Fest and the game being Mortal Kombat. A complete reboot of the story. Apparently now Liu Kang is going to be the fire god, taking the place of like what Raiden was doing as the thunder god in the original timeline. But there's like all this, it's like an alternate reality. So there's all these weird twists. Like Ed Boon came out on stage and talked about how you'll see like roles switched in various positions and all those things. But yeah, Mortal Kombat never looked better. It looks amazing. I can't wait. Go check that out. After that was a Fortnite Wilds reveals, like a Transformers crossover. I was asleep during that, so okay. These shows, they ebb and flow, they come and go, they have hype moments, they have sleepy moments, and those are different for everyone. So people who are really into Fortnite Wilds probably love that and really hyped, but I wasn't, and that's okay. If you're into it, you're into it. I'm not going to yuck your yum. And then there was a big Sonic reveal. It's like, what's happening? Are we going to get Sonic Mania 2? Are we going to get Sonic Origins extra content, a reboot of Sonic Generations? No, we got a whole new game called Sonic Superstars. It's a 2D classic Sonic game coming out this year. Sega revealed it. A brand new side-scrolling Sonic game with 4-player co-op. Players can choose between Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Rose and play up to 4 players at the same time. The game is a side-scroller. It has the 3D art style from back in Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces, and it's out this fall. So that is extremely exciting. I love playing Sonic. My brother, T-Bone, friend of the show, loves Sonic. My son loves Sonic. I'm sure we can get together and play some 3 players. I hope they can do better than what the new Super Mario Bros. On the Wii did when you introduce 4 Mario characters all at once. It's absolute chaos. You end up stepping on each other's toes and inhibiting each other's progress and bumping into enemies and bumping each other into enemies. Stopping each other's jumps. It's just crazy. So I don't know how they're going to handle that. So I will keep an eye on this. I hope it's good. I hope they figured out the 4-player side-scrolling formula so that we're not stepping on each other's toes the whole time. And also the sense of speed. You can't leave people behind. And part of the whole idea of Sonic is you take off really fast through a bunch of segments. And so how's that going to work with 4 players? A lot to be revealed about that. But I'm excited about it. It looked really good from the showcase they showed off. It looks fun. So then there was a huge, huge reveal of Alan Wake 2 after that. It's coming October 17th. There's the best look at the game so far. There's 2 playable characters, Alan Wake and Saga Anderson. There's a 50-50 split between the 2 of them. Saga is an FBI agent in a Pacific Northwest, and Alan Wake is trying to escape from a nightmare dimension. And it really, really looked and felt like The Last of Us Part 2 in its feel and vibe until it got to some things that looked like Control, and those are 2 absolutely incredible games. So mixing those 2 together, so the environmental storytelling and the vibe tone of Last of Us Part 2, that's the dark, sunsetted, gritty, outside, dirty, post-apocalyptic feel, at least in this chunk of gameplay. I get Alan Wake is not a post-apocalyptic game by any stretch of the imagination, but at least the place that this lady Saga was discovering and exploring was clearly condemned and not inhabited right now. And then going in and seeing the things on the wall, very Last of Us, chests to examine, a freezer chest, not a treasure chest, and things deep into and dig out artifacts. And then it was the whole fuzzy, blurry Control vibe where the supernatural stuff kicks in. Super cool. I can't wait. Looks great. It really got me into it more than I thought. So super, super good showing. The show, this is right off the bat. Boom, Summer Game Fest is hitting hard. Boom, 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 hit after hit. I'm okay, well, what's next? Can they recover? How far does the hype go? Because you know how these shows roll, man. They go, and then they stop. And there's always that lull in the middle. There's always the long churn of a bunch of games that not a whole lot of people care about, plus ads, people got to pay for the show. So anyway, the next show was Like a Dragon Gaiden, and that's coming out this November. So Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, officially has a release date of November 9th. The game is a spin-off of the long-running Like a Dragon, formerly Yakuza series, and it marks the return of the protagonist Kazuma Kiryu. So there's a lot of people that love the Yakuza series. I don't know anything about it. From following the games industry, of course, I know about it, but I've never played them. And I know Like a Dragon was awesome, apparently, and it was on Game Pass, and I wanted to check it out. It's just a matter of bandwidth and time. It's an infinite backlogged game. So the next entry in that series, those who are excited about it are really hyped about this game. So good for you and good for them. If you are and them, let's do it. All right, and then there was another game that came out, announced. We got a teaser trailer for Star Trek Infinite, a new grand strategy game coming from Paradox. The game is in development at Quantum League maker Nimble Giant Entertainment. Little was known in the trailer beyond a Federation fleet approaching the Borg, along with images of iconic Star Trek characters. A full reveal is coming on the 16th of June. I don't really know anything about that, so I'm going to keep going. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando was revealed. Saber Interactive, Focus Entertainment, and John Carpenter revealed John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, a new first-person shooter that's an ode to an 80s action and horror. The reveal trailer showed well-equipped military vehicles and plenty of guns to take on overwhelming hordes of undead enemies. The game is coming to Xbox, PS5, and PC next year. I thought this game had been revealed in the past, but I actually had it mixed up with an indie game. So this just looks like Doom and Days Gone kind of mixed. I don't really know. It's unique, which I like. You can only draw so many comparisons to current existing games before you just fall flat. It doesn't make any sense anymore. But environmentally and vibe-wise, it's got like a Days Gone feel, but there's like military high-tech stuff and slaying hordes of zombies. I don't know. Maybe this looks kind of cool, I guess. If it's one of those things that, like, if I ever had time to play and it was on Game Pass or PS Plus, I might check it out, but probably not at the top of my list. And then next was like it was a game that was introduced as being, from a beloved studio artist, and it was like an anime game, and I was like, is this Studio Ghibli? Like, who is this? No, it's Toriyama, Akira Toriyama, the draw artist of Dragon. I can't use words, y'all. The microphones come on and all the words are gone. Dragon Ball Z, the artist that drew the characters. A new action game from Akira Toriyama and Bandai Namco called Sandland. They got our first look at Sandland. A new Bandai Namco game is coming to PS5, 4, and Xbox. Everything, not Switch. The game features Akira Toriyama's signature art style and is based on a niche Toriyama manga from the year 2000. The gameplay showed tank and melee combat across the game's wide desert. No release date for the game yet. So, yeah, it was kind of it showed some gameplay. It looked like Borderlands. Like, you're out in the desert, and like the vehicle combat looked very reminiscent of Borderlands. And then some of the combat was kind of like very action RPG-y without all of the GUI and the numbers. It's kind of hard to make out like what you're doing, but maybe Ni no Kuni 2 style combat mixed with Borderlands vehicle combat. I don't know. Looks interesting. So I have to keep my eye on that one and see how the reviews shake out. But it's no release date, so that's probably going to be like late 2024 or something. A new game called Pal World is like Pokemon, but with guns. We got an extended look at Pal World, a game about collecting monster friends and then equipping them with guns. The game is coming early access next January. You only need to watch the trailer for a few seconds to see its very different take on the monster collecting genre. That was kind of this is to me where the entire show kind of started to have its lull, because Sandland butted up against John Carpenter's Toxic Commando is like, okay, and then Pal World, all right, what's next? So you sit through that, full minute trailer. Lord of the Rings: Return of Moria is coming this fall. I guess it was already announced in the past, and now we have a release window. The game is described as survival crafting adventure in the fourth age of Middle-earth, and it bears some resemblance to Deep Rock Galactic. Well, there you go. IGN described it the best, I suppose. I have zero interest in things like survival crafting games. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is getting a closed beta. It's coming, and that beta starts July 6th. The game was first announced in 2021, and it's a compilation of every story told in the Final Fantasy VII universe. So I don't know if y'all remember that. I do. I've been trying to keep my finger on the pulse of this. It's supposed to be like a cell phone game, which IGN doesn't really say here, but it's like a mobile game. And it does use like chibi art and different types of like cinematics to tell all of the stories from Final Fantasy VII. So that's Advent Children, what is it, Beyond Crisis, Crisis Core. There's like an alphabet that I'm trying to remember here, but there's all over the Final Fantasy VII universe. Dirge of Cerberus. I don't know what F was, but then E is Ever Crisis. So I don't know what Final Fantasy VII F is. So Final Fantasy VII A, Advent Children. Final Fantasy VII, I think it's Beyond. Final Fantasy VII B, Before Crisis. Yeah, it was like a FOMA mobile service, FOMA, FOMA mobile service in September 24, 2004. It was released for SoftBank Mobile and EasyWeb. So it was kind of a hard, there may have been a PSP port of it. But anyway, so Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, that's ABC. D was Dirge of Cerberus, and E, ABC DE is Ever Crisis now. And then there is I don't even know. Why am I going down this tangent? But anyway, there it is. It's coming July 6th for the beta. I can't wait, because Final Fantasy VII, of course, is my single favorite game. I'm obsessed with the remakes. I'm all here. I'm in. I think it's a great way to kind of get the extra content all together, even if it does have a different art style, if it's represented differently, if it's using cinematics, chibi art, whatever. Like, at least it gives you a throughput of the plot from beginning to end. I'm kind of bummed that it's a cell phone game, but it's something I could do on the side maybe and not have to worry about trophies or like completionist tactics. I hope it doesn't get marred with microtransactions. I'd like to just buy it and be done. Anyway, next game on the show from Summer Game Fest, Banishers: Ghost of New Eden is a new action RPG from the creators of Vampire, which I have never played. Don't Nod brought its new game, Banishers: Ghost of Eden, to Summer Game Fest. The new gameplay footage showed game's haunting atmosphere and combat, featuring ghosts, wolves, and other apparitions. The showcase seemed to be like I hate to use like generic action game. Like it has this kind of cool ethereal, like magic looking system. It shows like attacking some wraiths, and then there's like this neon glowing chains and slowing down what looks like slowing down time, or even augmenting your abilities. There's like a fast teleport. Kind of looks like Forspoken a little bit. I'm struggling to explain what it is, and that might be its downfall. But Don't Nod makes good games, so as that gets closer, Banishers: Ghost of New Eden, go check that out. Baldur's Gate 3 introduces Jason Isaacs as a major villain. Jason Isaacs, who's best known for playing Lucius Malfoy in the Harry Potter franchise and Captain Hook in 2003's Peter Pan, is joining Baldur's Gate 3 as a major villain. The actor has appeared in video games before, including Marvel's Midnight Suns and The Last Worker. So at this point, other than that little blip, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, I'm asleep. I'm like, okay, these games are not... The show is really hitting the lull in the middle here, and it started so strong for so long. Then there's Twisted Metal debuts on Peacock on July 27th. Will Arnett stopped by Summer Games Fest to show off a look at Peacock's Twisted Metal series, which debuts on Peacock on July 27th. The clip showed Arnett's Sweet Tooth in a fistfight with Anthony Mackie's John Doe. This looked hilarious. Great casting. That was awesome. This woke me up. Will Arnett as Sweet Tooth? Yeah, that's looks promising. I'm saying all these video game film adaptations are starting to look good. So I'm loving it, especially on all the PlayStation franchises here, right? We had the summer blockbuster of Uncharted. We got the hit HBO show Last of Us. Looks good. Here we go with the Gran Turismo looks phenomenal coming out in August, and now we have Twisted Metal coming July 27th. So hopefully the PlayStation productions can live up to the presentation here. Who knows? Looks fun. Marvel Snap is getting a new competitive mode. It's coming to the game June 13th, so tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Monday. The mode will add single elimination tournament to the game, with tournament taking place over the course of each season. So that's kind of cool. I haven't played Marvel Snap in a hot minute, but it did win Mobile Game of the Year last year. It did kind of have a cultural zeitgeist for a little while, so could get me into that. I don't know if I was actually any good at it or not, but there's a new trailer for Season 4 of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. That was my bathroom break. Path of Exile 2. We got a new look at Path of Exile 2, the upcoming isometric action RPG. The gameplay snippet we got was pretty short, showing a mage character ripping through monsters with electric magic. The end of the trailer teased what we will find out more on July 28th. This looks so close to Diablo IV, it was almost like, why isn't there a copyright strike? I don't understand what they were doing. Like, Path of Exile looked so different from Diablo 3 and Torchlight and Titan Quest. It had its very own unique, which did harken back to Diablo 1 and 2, that now we have Diablo 4 on us. The Path of Exile 2 looks just like it. I suppose it'll still be free to play. I'm not a Path of Exile person, but I know there are folks that are. So there you go. You have that to look forward to. That's not a knock against it. It's just an observation from your host, Termite, over here. Exoprimal is getting a Street Fighter VI crossover. Capcom pulled a nice bait and switch on us with this one, as Jeff Keighley originally introduced it as a follow-up announcement to Street Fighter II. Instead, it turned out to be a Capcom collab for Exoprimal, where a robotic mecha Ryu is facing off against Exoprimal's dinosaurs. Exoprimal is coming launch 14th, with a Street Fighter VI collab this fall. So I don't know a whole lot about Exoprimal, so I'm going to look that up real quick. Exoprimal was showcased in one of our big things. I remember everyone thought it was going to be like Dino Quest. Dino Crisis, and then it wasn't. It was this hero shooter, Overwatch looking. It's an online team-based action game that pits humanity's cutting-edge exosuit technology against history's most ferocious beasts. So this is going to be like Anthem and Destiny. You know, like online all the time, games as a service. Maybe it's going to be like Monster Hunter if you face against big beasts. I'm not sure. Little Monster Hunter flavor in there. So if you're into the Exoprimal at all, it's getting a Street Fighter VI crossover. Lies of P gets a demo and a new release date. So there was a whole trailer for that, and it showcased some awesome-looking combat and gameplay. It's a Souls-like, Pinocchio Souls-like, which is a slight delay from its previous August date because it's coming now on October 19th. However, players can play a demo of the game featuring the first 2 chapters of the game, which include 3 boss fights and multiple locations to explore. I downloaded this demo, and I have yet to have time to play it. All I hope is they have a difficulty slider of some sort, because this looks like We Happy Few mixed with, of course, Bloodborne, Souls-like games, with all wrapped in like a Pinocchio story. So I'm in. Like, it looks awesome. I'm here for this. I'd love to play it. But if it's stupid hard, like Souls-like games usually are, then I will blow right past this and probably not give it any attention. So it's a good showing at Summer Games Fest, though. So I'm awake now. I got a cool Twisted Metal trailer, and then some lulls for Termite, but not bad lulls. Just kind of like, meh, okay, Path of Exile, Exoprimal, all right. Now we get Netflix sharing The Witcher Season 3 trailer. So Jeff Keighley managed to get an exclusive Netflix trailer for The Witcher Season 3, which is an interesting deal he cut. But The Witcher 3 marks Henry Cavill's last season in the role of Geralt of Rivia, and we get a look at the first full trailer of the upcoming season. Ciri takes center stage in Season 3 as Geralt and Yennefer work to protect her. We saw some great swordplay from Henry Cavill, too. Of course, looks great, so go check that out. It looks awesome. Can't wait. I know it's coming out soon. So coffee. Sorry. Next up was Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 reveals co-op. So it will feature, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 will feature 3-player co-op throughout the campaign. We got a new gameplay trailer that showed returning protagonist Titus joined by 2 fellow Space Marines to rip through the Tyrannid hordes. The game is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC sometime this winter. Every time I see a Warhammer game, I'm like, that looks so much fun. I want to play that with friends. That looks awesome. This is like a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter, and of course co-op, like Gears of War, but like Warhammer, right? Like, it looks awesome. Then I'd never have time to play them. So next, Nicolas Cage came out on stage. This was so awkward and so weird. It's all Nicolas Cage. It's just everything about who he is wrapped up into one little segment of this show. I can't believe Jeff Keighley got Nicolas Cage out here. The Summer Game Fest crowd burst into laughter with this amazing crossover reveal where we learned Nicolas Cage is coming to Dead by Daylight. The infamous actor also appeared on stage for a chat. Cage called Dead by Daylight a chance for him to branch out since he's never been involved in the video game industry before. The Nick Cage chapter comes to Dead by Daylight on July 25th. And harkens back, so IGN just referenced, of course, that the crowd. This is the first Summer Games Fest done in person. It started during the pandemic, and we were always for virtual remote, and it got some hybrid things going on, and like the later years, last year and the year before. This year, first time with a full-blown audience, so it was cool to like hear the audience's responses. Mostly in line with my opinion of the show that I have given you in the account so far. So next was a pixel art reveal, and trying to figure out what game this was. It was a reveal of Yes, Your Grace, Snowfall, a sequel to the 2020 indie game from Brave at Night and No More Robots. The original was all about making choices about how to rule your kingdom, and the sequel looks to take the idea and expand it on it with a new wintry setting. The game is coming sometime next year. Termite's hype level at this point is gone. Like, there's no more hype now. I mean, like, I used the excuse to use the restroom. I'm, like, grabbing things to clean and scrub, like, trying to distract myself. Like, at this point, I'm like, where did we go? It started, the first third of the show was amazing. We're in the middle of the second third of the show, and it's like, again, with the lull, Witchfire was showcased next. Witchfire was also announced, like, previously in last year, and that's the, like, the next trailer was Witchfire from the creators of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, Painkiller, and Bulletstorm. We saw a very spooky forest filled with fog and skeletons before transitioning into first-person shooter gameplay. We saw the player use a crossbow, shotgun, melee combat, and more in the gameplay snippet. So it has like that medieval Van Helsing kind of vibe, but you're using magic. So it's like throwing an electric ball, catching things on fire. It's called Witchfire. So it's like a first-person shooter where you're using magic and guns at the same time, but it's gritty and dark. Yeah, I feel like we're going through another angsty phase in the gaming industry with all these gritty, dark games. But it actually looks pretty cool. It's made in Unreal, so if you have a chance to go check out that trailer, That was pretty cool. Remnant 2 was shown off. This was weird. I thought this was a Samsung phone commercial or a Samsung device commercial. And on this device, they were showing Remnant 2. But it was actually a Remnant 2 reveal. So I don't know what Jeff Keighley put together for a commercial ad, but I thought it was pretty cool. Instead of just a dumb, cheeky ad, it was actually like a game trailer reveal. So Gunfire Games Remnant 2 is launching next month on July 25th. The new trailer showed locations players will visit, including Narud, a new plane of darkness. Remnant 2 is a sequel to a game referred to as Dark Souls with guns, and Remnant 2 is coming with procedurally generated levels and storylines. Dark Souls with guns is an oversimplification. You have to say like Outriders and Dark Souls, because there's a whole multiplayer co-op component and like RPG elements to your characters and abilities and such. Different types of stuff you can do, customize and build out your characters. The Souls-like or Dark Souls with guns portion is very loose. It's not as difficult to play. It does have like the fire that you stand by to like save your game, and it refreshes all the enemies. You have limited heals, and those kinds of things. But overall, the Remnant 1 was fun. I want to get back to it. I hear it was the content of the game is great. From what I started the game with some friends once, and it was fun. So there's a sequel to that. So hype level increased a little bit here. Immortals of Avium gets an extended gameplay clip. I don't know why, but Immortals of Avium got an extended look. The first-person magic shooter. So magic shooters are now a thing. Like, we just saw Witchfire. We have Immortals of Avium, and I'll get to the Avowed later, but apparently mixing magic and guns is like the newest trend in gaming, because it seems out of nowhere we have like 3 of them. So it's kind of getting lost in the shuffle for me, as even paying attention to what it is. But it's coming out like really soon, and it's published by Electronic Arts, made by Ascendant Studios. So if you're into that, we got a little update. So the next game that was revealed or showcased here, not revealed, called Under the Waves, which we've seen before in a previous announcement. We got a new trailer for it. A new game with an underwater setting from Parallel Studio. Now, Parallel Studio is a subsidiary of Quantum Games, which made Beyond 2 Evil. What is that game called? Jeez, Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls. That's what it was. That studio, David Cage's studio, was Quantic Dream. And so Parallel Studio is like a subsidiary of that, and this game looks cool. It's caught my eye. I'm in. I want to play it like immediately as soon as it comes out. But it comes out August 29th. It's called Under the Waves, a mix of submarine piloting and scuba diving with an unsettling atmosphere, all underwater, very alone, kind of Returnal-esque, without the roguelite stuff. But go check that trailer out because it looks really cool. Honkai Star Rail gets a PS5 release window. Honkai Star Rail, a game from the Genshin Impact developer MiHoYo. It got a new trailer showing off characters in the RPG. It's coming out Q4 of 2023. And Black Desert Online expansion gets a new trailer. The Black Desert Online Land of the Morning Light expansion is coming June 14th, and a new trailer was revealed during Summer Game Fest, and we saw a look at some mythical foes inspired by Korean folklore and more. So Black Desert, of course, is MMO developed by a Korean studio, and they partnered with Jeff Keighley, I guess, to get a trailer out there for it. So Honkai Star Rail, also the Genshin Impact developer, I believe they're Chinese, and maybe related to the whole like Tencent thing. I'm not sure. So now we're starting to enter into the 2 announcements from Eastern Studios, which is cool. We got to look at Lisfanga, the Time Shift Warrior, a new hack-and-slash game where players can rewind time and create multiple copies of themselves. This stylish game has similar vibe to Hades. The game is coming to PC later this year. Folks, we are fed. There's so many games. Like, I can't even like keep this stuff straight. I have to look at recaps and videos, and I hear a title, and I'm like, what? What game is this? All right, the next game, Fae Farm, gets a release date. Cozy game Fae Farm is coming to Nintendo Switch and PC in September 8th. The game lets you uncover the mysteries of the island alone or with up to 3 friends. The game supports both local and online multiplayer. Next up, Throne and Liberty gets a new trailer. NCSoft's MMORPG got a new trailer today showing off some epic enemies players will face when the game comes to Xbox Series. I don't even know what Throne and Liberty is. It's another MMO RPG that looks like Black Desert or Final Fantasy 14 mixed. It's so hard to distinguish these games when you just have audio podcast, which is why I need the community to like chime in and say like, no, this game is really good and here's why. A new game called Party Animals. The brawler game featuring adorable animals is coming to PC, Xbox One, Series X, and S on September 20th. We got a new quick look at the game to celebrate the announcement. This game looks bonkers, kind of like a Fall Guys fighting game. Crazy physics, hilarious like animations and cutesy animals. Xbox and Porsche partner on new designs. In celebration of Porsche's 75th anniversary, the company is partnering with Xbox for a collection of new Xbox Series X consoles themed after the Porsche cars. They aren't for sale, but you can enter a sweepstakes for a chance to win. And of course, big stuff in the show was Spider-Man 2. The creator of the game from Insomniac came out on stage and revealed the release date being October 20th, which was amazing because Sony, of course, showcased that gameplay trailer we saw, and we didn't have a release date, but apparently they saved that for Jeff Keighley's show, so Sony and Jeff Keighley have a relationship, evidently. October 20th, we got a box art reveal, which looks awesome, and Venom will not be Eddie Brock. Those are the tidbits from the show. I am unbelievably excited for Spider-Man 2. Now that's October 20th, so the fall is looking packed. It's getting more and more games added to it. And the big ending of the entire showcase was, of course, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, a trailer which I've already watched multiple times. We got our first real look at the second part in Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We saw Cloud, Aerith, and the rest of the party riding chocobos through the expansive fields of the world outside of Midgar. We saw the party riding chocobos, exploring towns, discussing Sephiroth's inevitable return. Plus, Red 13 is joining the party as a playable character. The game is coming to PlayStation 5 early next year, and it will be on 2 discs, which is absolutely insane how big this game has to be already be fitting games on 2 discs. I don't remember what the Ultra HD Blu-rays storage limits are, but that's going to be insane because they compress that data. The game data on a disc is compressed. When you install it, it extracts it. So you take Call of Duty that's 150 gigs or whatever, and it fits on a disc. That's why, because you have to download a bunch of information and extract what's on the disc. Combined, it goes into 100 gigs. So I don't even know how big this game's going to be. But 2 discs. What I love about this is there's already, of course, Reddit's gone crazy, and there's comparison shots of some of the landscapes. When you leave Midgar in Final Fantasy VII, the world opens up, and you can explore all the terrain. You can go anywhere you want, out to the oceans, on the islands, around the whole world, the whole planet. I think they call the planet, I don't know, it's the planet. I have no idea. I don't know if it's Earth. Maybe it is Earth. I don't know. But you walk around, you have free reign to go wherever you want. And the order of the story, when you leave Midgar, you can stop in the Chocobo Ranch, and then eventually you'll go to Calm, and you have this whole conversation with the party, and it really sets the tone for the mission, the intent, the group, what they've just gone through. It's like a processing moment. It's wonderful in the game. Deep identity crisis trauma coming out of Cloud, and a big confession with the party, and a whole big story beat happens in Calm. And Calm is spelled with a K. It's just a small little villa. After Calm, you depart, and you head through a swamp and then a cave, and then on the other side of the cave is a coastal town called Junon. I think I'm saying that right, Junon. It has the big gun later on. Junon is a military city. I was right, Junon. Major city and military installation in Final Fantasy VII. It used to be a peaceful fishing town. But Shinra, of course, ruined that. There's all these comparison shots online of the open world map and the new character in the remake, which look gorgeous. Of course, we saw Chocobo Ranch, which I'm excited about, all the way out to Cosmo Canyon. And Cosmo Canyon has this big discussion, big plot reveals. Cosmo Canyon, what's that guy's name? He has a crazy long name. Valley of the Fallen Stars, pilgrimage site. Oh, baby. I'm getting excited just thinking about this. But this was all in the trailer, all of this stuff. So, you saw Cosmo Canyon, you saw Chocobo Ranch, you saw the cave, you saw everything but that swamp. The swamp and the snake were not showcased in the trailer. One of the trailer screenshots, if you zoom in, says 11,000 meters away. So that's how big. I mean, that's insane. It's gonna be huge. It looks like there's a Genova fight going on. Of course, Sephiroth, and the biggest thing the trailer ended with. Now we know, if you've played the original remake, that there is a timeline shift. So the remake actually does take place after Final Fantasy VII, the original game, which is really weird because it's the remake, but it's also the future. It's strange. There's all kind of weird things going on. I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to spoil it. But you hear Sephiroth say in this trailer, as you see the flashback of Tifa running up the stairs to attack Sephiroth when at the Niflheim reactor, Sephiroth slashes Tifa infamously, of course, and she goes flying back. And a person comes to rescue her in the original game. But in this trailer, he says, I killed you. Tifa, I killed you. So who are you? Meaning the Tifa that Cloud has been fighting with since Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first one, all the way through this game, may or may not be the actual Tifa. What is happening? Brain is exploding. I can't wait. Unbelievably good, but confirmed that it's coming early 2024. Now, some might say that that's a delay, and they're mad about it. Oh, it got delayed out of 2023. They never promised 2023. They just said winter, coming this winter, which covers the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get, when it's going to come out. My prediction is that it's going to be like March, but because you just got to push that out later and later. It's huge. The game is massive. So that, I believe, was the Summer Game Fest. And we're already 45 minutes into the show. The Xbox showcase was huge. And to keep going, I guess I'll just wrap up Summer Games Fest and then I'll push on to Xbox. But it was a good show. Like, this was solid. Like I said, it started out super, super hype, and then it had the little like blips of hype in the middle. The Insomniac developer coming out with Spider-Man 2 was kind of cool. I highlighted those in my recap. But there was that big lull in the middle, which they always have. So, like, if I had to rate this show out of 5, I would say it was a 4 out of 5 show. Much better than the PlayStation Showcase, I think. Although the PlayStation Showcase had its hype moments, that was probably more of a 3 out of 5, which is good. 4 out of 5 is great, and a 5 out of 5 is amazing. So I would say that Summer Games Fest this year might be the best one they've done yet. Jeff Keighley is really finding his stride. He's really evolving his brand, and you can see the improvements across the board. There were way fewer ads in the Summer Games Fest this year, and ads were more relevant. As I said, there was that Remnant 2 Samsung ad. So even when the ads are happening, it's not like you're completely tuned out. You're kind of still in a little bit, still engaged. There's always something for everyone. You stretch across genres. You stretch across platforms. There's never a one-sided thing. And I think he's just getting better at it. There's way less Chinese influence in the show now, which there was extraordinarily heavy. There's a bunch of like I don't remember what Tencent's brands are, but there was all the stuff, the ads, the games, like everything was sponsored by Tencent. So much Chinese money coming in. And now that's just more of an ethical issue that I have more than a practical one. Like, Jeff Keighley's got to pay for the show somehow. I get it. It's business. But business practices in China and child slave laborers and the humanity or lack thereof out there, it's problematic for me. So when I see like something amazing in the gaming industry happening and forming, and it's all funded by that kind of bad Chinese money, it's just not super, super good. So I'm glad to see that he's deviated from that, at least as of last year and this year, and continues on. So always going to be like, in the back of my mind, skeptical of what is actually being shown by what developers and whom. And this whole like show finally fleshed out a little bit of what's going on in the fall. What can we expect? We got Spider-Man 2, we got Mortal Kombat 1, and some other titles. And that's just this. So the Xbox game showcase is coming up. I'm going to talk about that right now. Continues to solidify exactly what we can see coming in the fall. Microsoft brought it. Everyone in the gaming industry was clamoring to know what these first-party studios were doing, what Microsoft has been doing since all these acquisitions, what is happening, why aren't they even at Game Awards, at least other than Phil Spencer sitting in the audience. Like, Xbox has just been quiet and stepping on rakes nonstop, like the Redfall debacle, the acquisition falling apart with Blizzard Activision. It's just constant like bad churn for Microsoft Xbox, and so this was a chance. This show, today's Xbox Game Showcase and Starfield Direct, was awesome. It was mind-blowingly good. It was fantastic. Perfect show for what the show is, as far as the pacing, the games you got, the relevance, the diversity of games, the different types of genres, indie, first party, all mixed in. Perfect. This show was absolutely incredible. My only critique is that it was a lot of CGI, but that was kind of gotten around, because that's bad. CGI trailers are bad. Like, you don't know what the game is. All you see is a tone and like a title and maybe some story vibes. But a lot of it was in engine, at least. And even there was a Cyberpunk trailer that was like on PC but running at Xbox Series X settings. Again, these aren't good like excuses. You can't just like check off the box. Oh, hey, it's gonna work. Like, no, but it is kind of a sidestep to get around the issue of like, oh, you just showed me CGI or you just showed me PC game footage. You didn't show me what I'm actually going to play. And that's true. Like, that's valid. So I can hold Microsoft's feet to that fire a little bit and say, yes, it was a perfect show. If you just look at the trailers, they were all good. The games that were revealed, put together into a package as a showcase, this was perfect. But when you break down each individual trailer, you'll see that they'll have, these flaws of like, oh, there's no gameplay here, so, what are you showing me, etc. So here we go. I'm going to go into it. This is a Eurogamer, because I try to spread out my sources instead of just reading from IGN all the time. Eurogamer, news by Lottie Lynn, posts this article, everything announced in Microsoft's Xbox Game Showcase. The Xbox Game Showcase in Starfield Direct 2023 has come and gone. Over the course of nearly 2 hours, we saw a huge variety of Xbox titles, including new reveals and updates for ones already on the slate, and most importantly, a detailed look at Starfield. Outside of Starfield, highlights included South of Midnight, Star Wars Outlaws, Avowed, Cyberpunk 2077, Liberty, and a new trailer for Fable, though still no release date. Many of the games shown will be available from Game Pass on day one. The show began with a Fable trailer, narrated by Richard Ayoade, I don't know how to say his last name, aka Dave, a giant-sized vegetable enthusiast. While the release date and final game are yet to be announced, this upcoming addition to the Fable series will, of course, be available on Game Pass from day one. So this trailer was hilarious. It was great. Following along, this vegetable enthusiast talking, he was like narrating how heroes are not necessary and kind of like other dismissive tidbits about heroes, while cutting to a hero who was having drinks at the tavern and slaying monsters and like getting to know with the villagers and like being celebrated. And then the village or the hero like climbs this big vine all the way up to the top, and you can see this is starting to take on a Jack and the Beanstalk situation. And then it cuts to Dave, who is huge. He is the giant. He's the guy in the cloud. Jack and the Beanstalk style. So pretty cool twist on the Fable idea. I mean, that's all we know, right? It's just a story beat. You're like, okay, this is kind of that's it. Like, you can see the hero interacting with the town. You can imply from previous entries in the franchise. You'll have a morality scale, good, bad. You'll develop some sort of like in Fable 3, you could bartend. You could do all these different types of extracurricular activities for stat boosts and access to gear and items and side quests and such. So I assume that's what that is. You're showing the hero do those things, and then the Dave, the villain, like the antagonist, and so you can see like his motivation, where the hero is a problem for him. So it was cool. I'm in. The game looks great. It's developed by Playground Games, which is the developers of Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon, which is weird that they will be taking on an RPG, especially a reboot-ish of the beloved franchise Fable. So, I mean, it looked cool. The next up, we're treated to a Song in the South of Midnight trailer. It's a brand new game from We Happy Few Studios' Compulsion Games. They also made Contrast on PS4, if you remember that. No release date, but it showed like a skeleton man in seemingly like a New Orleans setting playing a guitar, and then a woman comes up and she has like, she's looking for this monster to slay, and she has this like reveal, this ribbon, like crystal, she pulls out from her necklace and like pulls a string out as the monster appears behind her. Seems cool. So a hero sent to like demolish a monster for reasons. Looks cool. And the weird like stop action animation claymation style was awesome. So finally we know what Compulsion Games is doing after Microsoft acquired them, because this is the first game that they've developed since the acquisition. Next up, the tone then switched to one of fantasy science fiction in a reveal of Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws. Remember, Star Wars through Lucas Games has been partnering with different developers to make games. So there's a Knights of the Old Republic 2 or a Knights of the Old Republic remake happening. There's a Star Wars game called Eclipse happening from David Cage's studio, Quantum. Oh my gosh, my words. David Cage Game Studio. Quantic Dream. Good grief, Termite. I'm losing it, y'all. So Star Wars is being developed by different types of different developers out there. So this one is Ubisoft's massive made. The Division 2, Star Wars Outlaws is kind of the same game as Division was, as far as like how it was described as like a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter. There's going to be more at the Ubisoft Forward tomorrow, but the reveal trailer showed really, really cool. Like it happens, gameplay, not gameplay, but like cool vibes. It's as far as like what the story is. An outlaw. It looks like more of a scavenger focus, like Han Solo's type of scoundrel, not scavenger, scoundrel class. Telling more unique stories that takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So it's like between my two favorite Star Wars movies. So that's pretty sweet. And I can't wait to see more. Next up. So strong opening. We got Playground Games' Fable. We got Compulsion Games' South of Midnight. And then right on the heels, Ubisoft's massive Star Wars. Like, awesome opening to the game. There was a lady that came out to speak, and I forget her name, was just this big, I kind of like laughed a little bit, like this is kind of ridiculous. There was like this big orchestral build, crescendo song, epic like movie soundtrack playing as she was talking about the love of games and the passion of creators and the passionate game players and all of these things. I love those feel-good speeches. I'm there for it. So hype, goosebumps, galore. I'm like, yeah, this is great. It's awesome. After this, got a new look at a title coming from Thunder Lotus, the studio behind Spiritfarer, and that's 33 Immortals. So this is a roguelike type of game-ish. I don't even know, actually, if it's roguelike, but it looks like Hades and 33 player co-op. So it's got a really fun art style. Going to be nuts to try and like, jump into rounds of teaming up with 33 players to do Hades-style combat, but there it is. After that, there was a trailer for Payday 3, which got a release date for September 21st, again, this fall. 33 Immortals is 2024. 2024 for Star Wars Outlaws. No release date for either Fable or South of Midnight, so I assume that's going to be 2025 at the earliest. So we got a bunch of titles that are way out there. But anyway, so Payday 3 is coming out this year, September 21st. After that, treated to the world premiere of the Persona 3 Reload, which was leaked by the Atlas Instagram page, unfortunately, because this would have been a major hype moment for fans of Persona had it not been leaked. It's going to be released also in early 2024. Sad day. It's going to be alongside Final Fantasy VII Remake or Rebirth. And I'm going to have to try and juggle two massive... Well, Persona 3 is not massive, but, two big JRPGs. After this, we got to look at Obsidian role player Avowed, which will be released in 2024 and will be on game. So another 2024 title. I am super excited about Avowed. It looks just like the Outer Worlds in a fantasy setting. It's again doing the magic shooter type thing. So it's showing melee weapons, melee shields with magic. So not necessarily guns, but still mixing up that this is more like akin to Skyrim, where you could like have a mage staff in one hand, cast spells while you use an axe in the other type of thing. Next up came the announcement of Sea of Thieves: The Legend of Monkey Island. This update will be released on July 20th, and it's free if you have Sea of Thieves or Game Pass. I love this. It was a fantastic trailer. I laughed and giggled as Guybrush Threepwood was introduced as a character to interact with LeChuck coming out all out of Sea of Thieves. If this was like the Pirates of the Caribbean story, which I'm imagining it will be, as far as like it's like an instant story experience, kind of linear, you go off and do that in the Sea of Thieves world. I'm excited about it. I'll probably check this out this summer, especially because it's free. Got nothing to lose. There was the reveal of Microsoft Flight Simulator for 2024. Came with a trailer that showed off the game's primary or new main features: aerial firefighting, agricultural aviation. Will be on Game Pass on day one. No actual release date, just 2024. So expanding the world of Flight Simulator. My biggest gripe with that game was there wasn't a whole lot of campaigny style things to do. There was like these activities you could do, but this seems more like focused on getting things done. So you can do all kinds of stuff like search and rescue, of course, aerial firefighting and agricultural aviation. So it seems kind of fun. We'll see. Flight Simulator was fun from the time that I spent with it. The Spice then followed in the reveal for the Dune crossover update for the existing Microsoft Flight Simulator. This update will be arriving on November 3rd, 2023. So we've gotten a Sea of Thieves update and a coming in July, and then a fall update for Flight Simulator for this year, because the new Flight Simulator is 2024 as well. This was followed by an update on Senua's Saga's Hellblade 2 from Ninja Theory. It'll be on Game Pass Day 1 sometime in 2024. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth came next with a release window of early 2024 and a hilarious trailer that showed like a naked dude washing up on a beach. That's pretty funny. Fallout 76 came next with a trailer and song for its Atlantic City update, followed by, so that's kind of neat. I think it's today. Atlantic City is coming out today. Another world premiere, Capcom showed up, and I was like, oh, okay, which will be a game on Game Pass. And this was Kunitsu Gami, Path of the Goddess. And it was hard to make out what type of game this is, but in describing it, it almost seems like a Dynasty Warriors game, but there's like flesh doors and I don't know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 enemies at once. No, action RPG, some like third person, maybe top down. No, that's co-op might be implied. I don't really know. Like, to describe this game is kind of strange, but a new Capcom IP, which Capcom has said previously that they've been working with Sony to do their reveals, so the fact that this was revealed at a Microsoft show is interesting. It looks kind of cool. Have to keep more on that, but no date or anything here. Just a game. Finally got a release date for Forza Motorsport, which I guess would be the 8th one, but they're taking the number off. Shown another trailer. It's coming out on the 10th of October. October is so packed. So packed. Now we got Forza. The trailer for Shadow over Morrowind update coming to Elder Scrolls Online. It's coming out June 20th, if you care about that. Overwatch 2 Invasion will be released in August 10th. A new Heroes starter pack. Persona returned with a trailer for Persona 5 Tactica, which is coming out November 17th. It will be on Game Pass from day one. So that's if you're in the late fall and you've finished Spider-Man 2 and you finished Forza Motorsport, you can have that to play. Persona 5 Tactica. And then, of course, the first look at Starfield happened after that, which was very, very long. No, they just did like a little Starfield trailer, and I'll get into Starfield later. The next was a world premiere for Gisant from Don't Nod. It will be released during autumn, also known as fall. Why would they put that? Okay, 2023, and be on Game Pass from day one. Gisant seems like one of those fun indie games. A lot of climbing, kind of a Tomb Raider Uncharted without all the guns and the action, just like lots of climbing and exploration platforming. So if it reviews well and it gets some buzz, I might pay this more attention, but it seemed like one of those kind of artsy feel-good games that you do a lot of climbing. A lot of climbing, which I'm still kind of burned out on with Horizon. So we had another look at a world premiere after this. Was the trailer for Still Wakes the Deep, which is arriving in early 2024 and will be on Game Pass. It Still Wakes the Deep. Who's developing? Oh, that was like a Secret Mode and the Chinese Room are the companies called out in making it, but it was like an oil rig, and you're in it, and things are going south, and it looks like you're trying to escape and trying to get out of there, and it's like all these alarms. It seems kind of scary, like a horror game, first person. I'm not sure about walking simulator versus like combat, because I don't think there was any combat in this trailer. So just kind of like exploring and interacting with things and climbing around inside of an oil rig in the middle of the ocean in the middle of nowhere. The trailer for Dungeon of Hinterberg came next, and it will be released in early 2024. And this was I thought it was a Hi-Fi Rush update at first, because of the art style is like identical to it. I'm trying to figure out who the developer was. There it was. It's Curve Games, Microbird. I don't really know. But it had like some RPG mechanics, action RPG fighting, third-person perspective, reminiscent of like a Tales game or Ni no Kuni 2, mixed with kind of like a Zelda dungeon exploration puzzle-solving vibe. Like they're shooting some things that like some flags to spin a podium and like open a door, and then like you're riding on some rail cars and running around. Looks interesting. We'll see. Dungeons of Hinterberg. Keanu Reeves then took the stage to introduce Phantom Liberty's update for Cyberpunk. This update will take you to a part of Night City you haven't explored yet called Dogtown, and Idris Ilba will be playing Solomon Reed. You'll be able to play this update from September 26th, 2023. This is where they had that trailer that said running on a PC at Microsoft or at Series X specs as the graphics were showed off. It's like, okay. We got another sharp tone change next with the trailer for Cities Skylines 2. It'll be released on October 24th. It'll be on Game Pass day one. So a sequel to Cities Skylines, which I've heard is kind of taken the mantle from SimCity as far as quality and fun and good. So a sequel to that seems kind of cool. I haven't played SimCity in a hot minute or any of the Sim games except for Planet Coaster in 2020. I love some City Sims, so it could be worth checking out. And this was awesome. This was fantastic. So next came the world premiere of Metaphor ReFantazio from the creators of Persona. So an entirely new IP from the studio that brought you Persona 3, 4, and 5. So very stylistic. The UI looks awesome. I am so excited for this game. It's going to be awesome. I don't even know. 2024 is going to be lit already with Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 7, Rebirth, Persona 3's remake, and now Metaphor ReFantazio, or however you say it. Has all the tropes of Persona. Just the crazy anime, crazy stylized stuff, all of the animation styles, the character models, everything looks very, very Persona-y. So I'm going to be watching that trailer again to kind of see if I can glean any more story beats out of it to get more of a feel of what I'm going to get into. But very excited that exists. That was a get hype moment for Termite on that one. Continuing the theme of world premieres, the showcase then brought us Towerborn from the makers of Banner Saga, which will be coming in 2024. A reveal of In Exile. There's another one of those big studios. Clockwork Revolution came next, and while it doesn't have a release date window, it'll be on Game Pass because like everything is. Why wouldn't it be? So Clockwork Revolution, BioShock, We Happy Few, crazy sci-fi. You can change the past, and in doing so, you control the future. So timeline is implied, or like time travel is implied. This is like one of those in-engine showcase. There's like some panning of the camera in first-person view that looks like gameplay renders. So you can kind of get a feel for that. This looks awesome. Clockwork Revolution from In Exile. So I think they made Wasteland. Then after that, there was a hardware update. There was a new console revealed, a carbon black Xbox Series S, which will have a 1 terabyte solid-state drive. So not really a new console, but a Series S painted black with a 1 terabyte drive in it. It's coming out as $349, coming September 1st. And then finally the Starfield Direct, which Starfield is probably one of the most ambitious games I have ever seen in the history of me loving video games that spans over 30 years. I have never in my life seen a game where they had, how long was this Direct? 45 minutes, and it just continued to add fully fleshed out aspects of what the game is. It's very articulate, it's very well done, it's wrapped up in a bow, it's organized perfectly, it walks you through everything Starfield is going to be. It is full on a Bethesda game. There's so much here that there is absolutely no way it was developed in mind for completionists. There's no player, I don't think, who would be able to consume everything this game has to offer. The amount of content, the amount of different types of builds you can do, how you develop your character, and the worlds you explore, the procedurally generated things. There's 1,000 planets. Not all the planets are procedurally generated, but the events that happen and the NPCs you interact with are randomized. And so every planet can be fully fleshed out. Your ship can be fully customized and built and upgraded. Your gear, you can have the whole like attention to detail is insane. All of the guns fully customizable, just like from Fallout. All of the tropes from Skyrim, from Fallout, all here, but expanded upon 1,000 times, exponentially bigger. I cannot believe a game this ambitious is actually happening. They partner with NASA to figure out like atmospheres and biomes, all the wildlife, all the creatures, all the different factions, the storylines, all happening across this extraordinarily huge galaxy, like a city that's never been done before with as far as the depth and capacity of wild NPCs doing their life, like having life on a planet, and then the storylines that happen through quest beats at this one major city at Alpha Centauri, I think is what the planet is. It blows my mind, and I could break it all down here and spend another hour talking. I could do an entire podcast about what was shown at this Starfield. I'm just blown away by it, and I almost think like it's too much. Like it's too much game, especially it's coming out this year, and it's coming out in September 6th, I think is the release date for Starfield. It was announced. Yep, September 6th, and it'll be on Game Pass. The combat looks awesome. It looks so tight. It looks so good. The only Bethesda jank that was really showcased off are some of the character facial animations when they're talking, and that's it. Other than that, this looks like a very, very polished, one of the most polished things. This has potential to be the most polished game Bethesda Studios has released in the Elder Scrolls Fallout realm of games, because they have the jank with their engine. But you can make your own outpost, of course, because why not? And so you can have your own customizable living spaces and living quarters, and you can manage a whole crew. You can hire NPCs to help manage your ship, manage your outpost, and they have all the stats and all the things you would care about with it, all in addition to just a third person or first person shooter story that has NPCs and reactionary decisions, like dialogue choices matter. You can give yourself different attributes to navigate conversations differently with NPCs and have different outcomes. Random things can happen while you're traveling between planets. You can run into pirates. You can run into merchants, and it's just insane. I just can't even believe that we're getting an outer space game like Starfield on that scale, and it's just absolutely breathtaking. The game looks phenomenal. The animations were solid, the performance was solid, and the gameplay they showed. 45 minutes of actual gameplay. It's all there, and the developers all break it down into different categories. So one category is the combat, one category is the environments, one category is the story. It just breaks the whole game, and you can check it all out. But I'm extremely tired. I'm very exhausted from a long weekend, and I want to know how hyped for Starfield you are, because today's showcase got me more overwhelmed because I'm in the world of Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo IV, Final Fantasy 16 is on the heels. I have yet to finish the platinum in Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, or Hogwarts Legacy, and they're all big third-person open-world games, minus Diablo IV. And it's just the fatigue is setting in, and I'm seeing Starfield. I'm there's an unbelievable amount of content. September 6th, right? And Spider-Man 2 comes out October 20th, which means I have, if I block out some games between September 6th and that, nowhere near enough time to be able to fully explore that game. And I'm assuming the levels will be unlimited like Fallout, where you just keep leveling, you keep building your character, you keep getting stronger and do stuff. And I don't even know. Today was a crazy day for gaming. The Xbox showcase was perfect. It was awesome. I kind of want to rewatch the entire thing just from beginning to end, but there's so many games, folks. There's so many games out there. If you can't find a game you like or to get excited about, then I think you might be the problem. There's just so much. Microsoft finally brought it. They're here. That roadmap they've been setting up, all the acquisitions, everything they've been shoring up, and everyone's wondering what's going on. Boom. They're starting to fire on cylinders. They get this acquisition for Blizzard and Activision in, and they are going to be a major force to be reckoned with. What they showcased today, 11 first-party studios and the games that they're working on. This didn't even include a Halo or a Gears of War or any other Microsoft staples. We still never saw Everwild, which Rare's making. So there's a couple of other studios out there that haven't showcased what they're working on. But we don't even know what Double Fine's working on yet either. So much more. Obviously, this was a very 2024, 2025 centric showcase. So the stuff that we're getting this year, we already know. There's no big surprises for this year except for content updates and existing games. But we at least have a roadmap. We got a roadmap. We know we got a lot of CGI today. I get it. Rendered in engine or whatnot. But future of games is bright. I think we're finally past the pandemic. It looks like studios are firing on cylinders. The whole work from home, hybrid models are all being worked out internally at least. Content's flowing, and now here we are. So as we speak, there's like a Square Enix Final Fantasy 16 event happening, and hot off the press, there's a demo for Final Fantasy 16 coming out June 12th, and it has the first 2 hours of the game, and progress carries over. I'm all for it, but I will caution y'all this. Apparently with these Square Enix demos where progress carries over, if you care at all about trophies, the trophies will not carry over. And sometimes you will cross thresholds in the game that you have to start over or are not really they're not missable because you're going to hit them in the game, but they are missable in a demo that doesn't do trophies. And then when you pick up the game where you left off, those early trophies are now inaccessible. That happened with Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm Final Bar on PS4. I played the demo, progress carried over, and I did not get those achievements until I had to redo them, which were very minuscule and minor because it was the first stuff you do in the game anyway. But still, just so you know, the Final Fantasy 16 demo may or may not have trophies that carry over. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to play it. Apparently it's a lot of cutscenes because it is the first 2 hours of the story. So I'm just going to wait till the game comes out, and I will play it when I can. And that is an episode of Termite's Buzz, folks. Sorry for cutting the retro content, but I'm an hour and 20 minutes in, and I'm exhausted. Talking to you all about games is extremely exciting. This is the best time to be alive as a gamer as far as the year and the Summer Game Fest and the Microsoft Showcase, the PlayStation Showcase. There's so much. I feel like we're getting to a point now where it's getting... I don't know about y'all, but this really does feel like the quality and the quantity of the games is going up. It used to just be like quantity was going up, but the quality was like floating in a sea of 7s, 7 and 8s reviewed games, and there would be like 1 or 2 standout titles from each of these things, but now we're getting to the point where there's like 5 or 6 good titles coming out of every showcase that I'm dying to play, and they're all coming out like at the same time. I can't do that. I can't keep up. It's a lot. But I'm excited. It's good. I love the gaming industry. I love these hype time, hype trailers, and hype summer. So I hope you join me in that and get excited about video games because they're freaking awesome. And with that, I leave you to it for the rest of this week. And I will follow up next week with whatever happens at the Capcom and Ubisoft showcases. And I will see you next week.